Hi DF team, does NVIDIA's mega geometry completely eliminate the need for proxy geometry to be used in ray traced and path trace scenes? If so, how do you see this technology affecting UE's hardware lumen and or megalights, assuming it is integrated into DXR? A separate but related question. Are there other areas related to BVH building and maintenance process that are clear problem areas to improve in the future? Well, I would say, based upon the first question here, NVIDIA's mega geometry doesn't completely eliminate the need for proxy geometry. You still have the fact that GPUs have a certain amount of triangles that they can realistically accelerate rays against, even if the BVH building is much more efficient. There's only a certain limit to them, and this has been increasing over time with each generation of hardware that is released on the Nvidia, on the AMD, and on the Intel side. They always say, like, we do 2x the amount of ray box and ray triangle intersections with this architecture versus our previous. I think that's been the case for all of the hardware vendors. So even if you had the BVH building process being much more efficient, you would still be limited in another aspect of the rendering, and things like, especially like RDNA 2 would have no hope of doing nanite level geometry at a really great frame rate, I'd imagine. I think there would be like a percentage scale slider that might be still required, say like 50%. And I think that is a big part of it. Now, I think for something like these stupid names, mega shadows, mega geometry isn't even that great of a name, mega shadows. I'm a little bit curious about that one too, because it would benefit really a lot from something like mega geometry, getting a more one-to-one look of the geometry there, because shadows, unlike reflections can be kind of wonky and you won't notice because a lot of reflections in real life aren't perfect mirror ones, and you can fix up stuff in screen space. Same with diffuse lighting, but for stuff like shadows, it really needs to be one-to-one, and mega geometry is like the thing there, and that's exactly how mega shadows or mega lights work, or whatever they call it. And so getting that one-to-one representation is a big benefit, but at the same time, do I realistically see games coming out with that technology in the near future? Probably not, until there is a next version of DXR, in which case I don't think those titles would be using that as their base lighting model would be even targeting something like PS5. So this is really sounding like really far future stuff to me already. And one thing that you always still have to remember is right now this is NVIDIA. I think I said in my video, I think that this is going to come to DXR, but right now this is NVIDIA's proposal for DXR, and it's, curiously enough, it is like, I don't know, I almost expected something like this coming on the console side of things, but we didn't see it there. We saw NVIDIA pushing this first, so I'm not sure what exactly that means for AMD in the next box that they produce, because AMD's hardware designs seem now a lot more orientated towards Sony and whatever Sony wants. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that shakes out. I guess the separate related question to this, I'm sorry I'm dominating this question, but this is very much so my interest.
You're the guy for this.
I guess so. Related to BVH building and maintenance, well, the thing is, at some point in the future, we're talking about triangles and ray tracing of triangles, even clusters of triangles with mega geometry, and there's other things that are not best represented by triangles. You've got particle effects, you've got certain types of things that take up volume, those would be clouds, water, which typically are done with triangles still, but it's really rough approximation, let's be honest. Like all of these things, and even hair, are not maybe best represented by triangle approximations. And there you need a different primitive. And NVIDIA proposed a new type of primitive. They're calling them linear swept spheres. But as the blog post described them, and which was in a lot more detail than I got with even at CES, is that actually it's a pretty malleable primitive, and it can also just be a sphere. In which case, I don't actually know what the BVH looks like for a thing that is filled just with spheres. What exactly does that need to be? Does it need to be this 2-level system in the same way it was for triangles? I am actually not currently so versed in that, so I cannot completely say anything about it, but I imagine that this mixing of primitives will be another point of optimization in the future of ray tracing. We've only seen something from Nvidia so far, but maybe the other hardware vendors are also going to support this new primitive in the future, or other ones that are competing, and there's going to be some mixing there. So I'm thinking maybe this is another area of optimization for the future. And that's really all I got to say about this question.